Hello everyone, I am finally back, and we're here to talk about my 5 favorite moments in Rhythm of War, the 4th book of the Stormlight Archive. Another giant volume, soon to be outdone by Wind and Truth, which, at time of recording, is... hang on. 10 days, 15 hours, 59 minutes, and 6 seconds away. Yes, I have a countdown thing on my phone, because I am that psyched. I actually finished this, my reread of this a couple weeks ago, but I got hit with serious illness, that some of which completely robbed me of my voice. So I would not have been able to do this video. But thankfully, I am mostly better right now. I'm still kind of congested and coughing. I'm gonna try not to do that as much on this video. So, if you notice a bunch of edits, like some obvious cuts, yeah, then that means I failed miserably. But with that in mind, that does mean I am very much going to stick to my script, my written notes, and not go off on tangents. And I'm going to try to get through this as fast as humanly possible, so that way, I don't run the chance of assaulting your ears with my coughing or needing to vacate stuff from my face. Anyway, let's get started with moment number 1, the Devotary of Mercy. Rhythm of War was one of the few books to actually stir enough emotions in me that I actually teared up. We're going to talk about one of those moments towards the end that even on my reread, I was listening to it and I was still, tearing up. So, I knew what was coming and everything, and it still got me. This, while a simple scene, was one of those times. Having been commanded to step down due to the war wearing on him, Kaladin has taken up duty working as a surgeon and doctor in Irithiru alongside his parents. His, sergeant in Bridgeport, Teft, seemingly wanting out of the fight as well and not wanting to abandon Kaladin, joins him at the medical unit, and the two are asked to go look for a patient's uncle. They find out the man suffers from battle shock and had previously tried to hang himself. So he was sent to the Devotary of Mercy, a place that cares for the mentally ill. While there, Kaladin sees the disheartening conditions that the patients live in as an attempt to help them. While not outwardly malicious, the therapies that the Devotary of Mercy uses are woefully inadequate and outdated, a fact that incenses Kaladin. He finds the man, Norrell, and Kaladin manages to get the man to talk. Let's see if I can find the book, because I want to read the section in particular where, oh, good lord. I did not mark where this was. Bear with me.
Hello there.
My phone is not on silent. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay, there it is. There's the chapter. I'm gonna cut all this out. Okay, so the section in question, Kaladin is talking to Norrell, who just tells him to go away, tell his niece that he's dead, it's better for her to think that, yada yada. The man doesn't really want to talk to Kaladin. And, the Ardents don't know, really, how to treat mental illness. And, the thing that struck me the most about this chapter is the following lines. Kaladin leaned closer. I know how you feel. Dark. Like there's never been light in the world. Like everything in you is a void. And you wish you could feel something. Anything. Pain would at least tell you you're alive. Instead, you feel nothing. And you wonder, how can a man breathe, but already be dead? What got me in this chapter is I deal with depression on a regular basis. And, I've gotten a handle on it in recent years. But there was a time where I very much related to those lines. And I knew what it felt to be like Norrell. Just leave me in a dark place where I don't have to see anyone, tell them to forget about me. You get the picture. In those words, Kaladin says, it felt like someone understood. They got it, and that meant something to me. While not in this chapter, this event will also lead Kaladin to try different approaches to helping out those who suffer from mental afflictions. And honestly, I think that's a good thing for Kaladin's character. Who knows where... If anybody knows the book, you know that doesn't really work out for him. But not for reasons involving him. We'll have to see where Wind and Truth leaves him. Excuse me. The next moment, a little less heavy than that. An unexpected ally. While traveling through Shadesmar, the cognitive realm, Adolin and his group encounter the honor friend Notum, who they met in Oathbringer, who was demoted after letting Syl, Kaladin's friend, go instead of bringing her back to lasting integrity, the home fortress of the honor friend. When Notum must turn in a different direction, no longer able to enter lasting integrity, not even getting near it at a certain distance, Adolin notices that a group of Tukari humans, who he thought were following them, are actually after Notum. Adolin jumps onto the back of Gallant, his Rashadium, which is just an uber horse, with Maya, the Deadeye spread of his shard blade, in tow, and charges after the Tukari. Adolin is at a severe disadvantage, but his plan is to stall them for as long as he can in order for the other Radiants in his group to arrive. Adolin kills several of them before being wounded. He tries to keep the remainder from surrounding him when he feels someone at his back. He turns in a panic only to see that Maya has joined the battle and is covering his back. And this is supposed to be impossible, at least according to what the Spren say. The Deadeye Spren they don't really got a lot going on. Like, they're not capable of much, so they say, so they believe. Well, this book obviously proves that to be false. While not able to truly fight, she swings and growls at the men and holding them back. Adolin gets her to mimic a sword stance, and Adolin is able to kill more as the men retreat from the two of them, and Adolin's group arrives. What I really like about this moment is that it not only proves that Adolin is more than capable as a fighter without his blatant blade, a concern he had back in Oathbringer, but it shows that even as a Deadeye, Maya is capable of more than anyone imagines, and that she and Adolin have formed a bond outside of that of the Nahale bond, the bond of the Radiance. Moment number 3. Strong enough. Throughout the series, and this book in particular, Shallan has struggled with feeling weak, that her alters are really the strong ones, and that she is worth less because of it. To be frank, she also struggles with the remarkably fucked up shit in her life, and the things that she's done because of it. Lest we forget, she has committed both matricide and patricide. The former because her mother was going to kill her, and the former because her father was a raging alcoholic that just beat the shit out of people. Throughout this book, there is the threat of a third altar, known as Formless. And during the mission to lasting integrity, Shallan's mental state is assaulted by her mission from the Ghostbloods, that someone is getting into her belongings to use the cube Mraize gave her to speak to him, that there is a potential traitor in the midst of her light weavers, and with the realization that Pattern has been using the cube to speak to Hoyd, and thus going behind her back, Shallan is not exactly in the best place mentally by the time this moment arrives. Adolin's trial, which we'll get to in the next moment, is very much rigged, and the target that Mraize sent Shallan after is none other than the High Judge of Lasting Integrity, the Herald Kalek. Included in the cube is a special dagger that will trap Kalek in a gemstone. There's a whole thing about the metal and what Kalek is as a person. It's best not to get into it right now. Just go read the book. The night before Adolin is to be sentenced, so Shallan decides to go through with Mraize's plan, which Vale had been for earlier. But Vale changes her mind, leaving the vote 2-1. At this point, Formless decides to emerge, locking Vale and Radiant away and taking over for Shallan. The next morning, before Formless leaves, Adolin wants to speak to Shallan, and Formless, pretending to be Vale, who we find out is capable of speaking to Formless, says Shallan is too weak to come out. Before they go, Adolin asks her a question about true strength. Is the person who has never struggled with something stronger than the person who has dealt with it every day? At Kalek's home, Vale manifests in a light weaving and confronts Formless. In reality, Formless isn't a new altar, but is Shallan choosing to go down a dark path, to be someone that she's not, to forsake the people she loves and who love her before they can, in her mind, see her for who she actually is and leave her. Vale reaffirms that Shallan can bear the things that she's done, that she's been doing it. Who is stronger, the woman who always has her emotions on her side, or the woman whose own thoughts betray her? Her daily struggle and her continuing to go on despite it proves her strength. When Vale offers to return of Shallan's memories, Shallan remembers an awful truth and realizes what Vale actually is to her. Shallan remembers that as a child she had befriended a cryptic spren, but it wasn't Pattern. And it was this spren that became the blade that she used to kill her mother. After which, in her guilt, she sent the spren away, breaking her oaths and killing the spren. this same cryptic that has appeared in Lasting Integrity and that Adolin saw earlier in the novel. Veil was the blankness that hid Shallan's memories from her veil. But now Shallan is able to bear the burden of what she's done, and Veil reintegrates with Shallan assuring Veil that she did good. Moment number 4. We chose. Anyone who's read the book knows what I'm about talking about just from those lines. Those 2 words. And buckle up, this one's a long one. Before we get into this moment, we need some context. One of the major historical events in Roshar's history is something known as the Recreants, an event that saw the Knights Radiant abandoning their oaths at the end of the False Desolation. They left their Shardblaze and Shardplate behind, and history vilified the Radiant and says having turned their back on humanity when humans needed them. While on the Spren side of things, this led to the creation of the Deadeye Spren. Spren that are essentially dead, as the breaking of oaths breaks something in the spiritual aspect of Spren. Their form in the cognitive realm alters a bit, and their eyes are scratched out. Not like empty eye sockets, but like a painting that was defaced. This, of course, led to the Radiant Spren having a distrust or outright hatred of humans. For context, the Radiant Spren are the 9 different varieties of Spren that, like 9 different types of Spren that are capable of bonding Radiance. So you're not going to have, like, Wind Spren, Flame Spren, Logic Spren, Creation Spren, Glory Spren, yada yada. I'm talking about, like, Honor Spren, Cryptics, Cultivation Spren, Ink Spren, High Spren. You get the gist. As we learn in the series, the Recreants had at least 1, possibly 2, causes. The Knights Radiant had learned at some point that humans hadn't been native to Roshar, but had invaded after humanity had destroyed their previous world, Ashen, through the usage of Surge Binding. Honor used to convince the Radiants that their acts were just, but as time went on and Honor started to deteriorate under attacks from Odium, he would ramble on about how the Radiants would destroy Roshar as well. While this is a confirmed cause of the Recreants, it is theorized among the fans and in-world that the capturing of the Unmade, known as Ba Adom Mishram, who had led the False Desolation and whose imprisonment ripped out both connection and identity from the Singers that she was bonded to, creating the slave form of the Parchment. They'd essentially been lobotomized en masse, to put it in regular terms. And it's an act that would even affect their descendants. Some believe that the damage the Radiants caused may have also contributed to the Recreants. Anyway, back in the present, Adolin Shallan and a group of others have been sent on a mission to the City of Lasting Integrity, home of the Honor Spren in Shadesmar, to try and encourage them to bond with more humans and create more Windrunners. The Honor Spren are completely against this idea, seeing the idea as suicide for them, as humans will always break their oaths. In a gamble to get them to agree, Adolin is put on trial as the representative of all humanity to prove that they have changed and they are worthy to be trusted again. The trial begins, and it's obvious that the Honor Spren have already made up their minds previously, with the second day being a planned ambush by the audience, refusing to let Adolin speak and bringing up events that he has little to no context for, and so he can't possibly defend himself. The final day, the Honor Spren prosecutor takes the place of the High Judge after confining him. It has to do with the last event that we had just talked about with Shallan and Veil. Again, go read the book. The prosecutor brings Maya in as the final witness. Adolin tells the Honor Spren to let her go as it's causing her discomfort and to just get on with sentencing him. The prosecutor insists that men like Adolin cannot be trusted, and that they killed Spren like Maya, and will continue to do so, and that he must be the one to speak for her and for every Deadeye, because they cannot speak for themselves. And then, to everyone's shock, Maya does speak, yelling out the words, "We chose," then screeching at the honor spread that they cannot take her sacrifice from her, revealing that the Spren that were bonded to the Knights Radiant during the Recreants, while not knowing everything that would happen to them, chose this fate. They chose to let the Knights abandon their oaths. So there's more to the story than we think. And hopefully, we get some more info, if not the full answers, in Wind and Truth. Moment number 5. The 17,000-foot drop. Okay, so the context behind this one involves the relationship between Kaladin and his father, Lirin. Lirin is a surgeon with a tightly held belief in non-violence and pacifism, to the point that he's willing to even work with, people that are enslaving him and his village, if it means that people don't get hurt. He thinks less of anyone who fights, or worse, kills, other living beings, even to protect people. So you can imagine the strain between Callan and his father. Callan, being a surgeon, and who is just really, really good at killing. Lirin wanted Kaladin to be a surgeon, but when Tien was drafted into the army thanks to Rashon, Kaladin went with him to protect him. But we all know how that turned out. Lirin and Cal butted heads in the past over Urkal's being a soldier and killing people, even though he does use his skills to protect and to help others. And in this book, during the invasion of Irithiru, the last time Cal and Lirin see each other prior to the event I'm going to talk about is when Cal fights and kills a couple of listeners who were going to take Teft, Kaladin's friend and fellow Knight Radiant, who is currently unconscious thanks to a suppression fabrial that the fuse known as Raboniel has deployed. Lirin is livid at Cal for bringing death and destruction into his place of healing, saying that it's all Kaladin does and that he is a monster, going so far as to say that both his sons died in the army. Fucking yikes. Through the novel, Kaladin has also been hounded by a fuse known as the Pursuer, a fuse who has a long-standing tradition of hunting down and killing anyone who kills him. It's after one of these encounters, while Kaladin tried to be a distraction so that Teft, who has been woken out of his coma thanks to Lift, could sneak into the infirmary and help wake up the other Radiants with Lift's help. And Kaladin sees that Teft has been killed by Moash, who is determined to prove that Kaladin that his way of viewing and doing things is the correct one. That it's better to just let go of any and all emotions, especially the negative ones, to just heap them off onto someone else and to be free of them. Killing Teft was Moash's attempt to break Cal, preying on his need to protect people. Moash drags Lirin over to the Pursuer, using him as insurance against Kaladin, ordering the man to be killed if Kaladin gets back up after the loss of Teft. Moash is waiting to see if Kaladin will give in and agree that Moash is correct, or if Kaladin will kill himself. Kaladin gets up and fights. And the Pursuer attempts to kill Kaladin, but Kaladin fights back. Kaladin manages to kill the pursuer again, and at this point, a heavenly one, a fuse with the capability to fly, flees in terror from Kaladin, carrying his father with him. They reach the top of Irithiru, which is about 17,000 feet off the ground. Kaladin continues to kill Fused, with Syl trying to get through to him. A heavenly one throws Lirin off the top of the tower, and Kaladin dives after him. Without his ability to fly, and with a high storm coming after them. Well, not after them, but a high storm is coming. Kaladin and Syl fall together, and Kaladin knows that he's ultimately failed. Failed his father, Teft, Bridge 4, everyone, and he's accepted his fate. Meanwhile, Dalinar, through his bond with the Stormfather, is aware of what's going on with Kaladin, and urges the Stormfather to reach out to him. Kaladin speaks with the Stormfather, and Cal insists that because Odium wants him, he has to die, thinking he'll eventually succumb to the Dark God. The Stormfather counters him and tells him the choice is ultimately his, but Kaladin believes he is too weak to say the fourth ideal and to regain his abilities. Dalinar begs the Stormfather to help, and Dalinar finds a way to connect to Kaladin, connect with a capital C, and gives him a vision. He's sent back to the battle that claimed Tien's life. When Cal asks his brother why he was out in a place he shouldn't have been, Tien says it was to help the other boys feel brave, and like they weren't alone. The vision changes, and a grown Tien is holding Cal, telling him that yes, while everyone dies, what is important is that we're there for each other when we can be. Kaladin never failed. He did protect people, but he can't protect them from everything. And at the end of this vision, Kaladin is rejuvenated, and he finally says the fourth ideal. I accept there will be those I cannot protect. Windspren flock to him, and he orders them to find Lirin. More Windspren join onto him and form his shard plate. He reaches out, and he catches Lirin right before they hit the ground. And while hovering above the shattered blades, the two of them manage to reconcile. And then finally, I do have an honorable mention. The Dog and the Dragon. While the story and imagery of Wit's light weaving is always fun, the reason I have this one as an honorable mention is because Wit and his Spren design, they amuse me. They really do. Their interactions together is just delightful. And actually getting to see design again in Yumi and the Nightmare Painter is just a treat. Design is wonderful, and I can't wait to see more of her. So anyway, that is it. That is my 5 favorite moments from Stormlights 1 through 4. I will be back eventually to do a video on Wind and Truth. But that one I'm going to wait until probably end of January at the earliest, maybe start of February, just to give people time to actually read the book. And, give myself time to get through it a couple of times before I decide what my favorite moments are. Excuse me. So, anyway, until next time, journey before destination, my friends. I'll see you later.